Hello, I'm Dr. Katherine Horton. I literally had to stand like this until I set up because my head is being cooked. And I'll show you, I'll take this off for the rest, but I'll show you what I mean by attacks. The Wi-Fi is off, you can hear I'm being shot into non-stop. But one of the things you cannot hear is from here, there's essentially a beam from here with very loud metallic scratching here. Oh, I think it's actually coming from that direction. And, oh yes, that's the direction. And essentially it's painful. And you can hear these shots. I'm being shot into non-stop. The Wi-Fi is off. There's absolutely nothing doing this. I'm being microwaved painfully. And the reason why this is so unbearable is essentially, hang on, I have to, as always, take some shielding and put it up just to be able to speak. So, literally, I have to build myself shielding. And standing here, it's slightly more bearable behind the shielding. You can see you can still get shot at, but the metallic scratching is gone. So there's metallic scratching here and none here. Yeah, it seems to come from that direction, from my neighbor's house again. And, okay, but if I stand here, I can take this off. So I'm going to tell you what happened today and why I look like a mess, why I look like so utterly out of it, and why I'm being attacked so hard. Let me get a bit closer. You can see the injuries on my face. You know, essentially I have been assaulted brutally the last couple of nights, absolutely insanely. Today I tried to get through to the embassy again. I have emailed them countless times. They just do not reply. They do not reply anymore. Dr. Otto Lampe refuses to reply. Miss Richter, with whom I spoke before Christmas, before being mutilated extremely hard, doesn't reply, right? No one in the embassy replies anymore. So today I went for the third time, right? The first time I missed the opening times because I got lost in Bern. It was my fault. You know, the second time I got back and Miss Richter wasn't in. So today I went for the third time and Miss Richter was in, as I was told, but the porter actually laughed at me because I said to him yesterday, is Miss Richter in tomorrow? And he said yes. And I said, okay, when would be the best time? And, you know, I said, if I come in the morning, is that okay? And he said, yeah. He didn't say anything specific. And then I couldn't make it in the morning because I was attacked so brutally. I was essentially up until 4 a.m. So when you're up until 4 a.m. you can't really be at the embassy for 8 o'clock, you know, and drive there safely. So I wasn't. So I went there in the afternoon after I got some rest. And then the porter laughed me in the face and he said, oh, Miss Richter, she's now in a meeting, you know, and they've got these, like, the Germans have these weird meetings, like BK2 or whatever it was called. It was like some letter number combination for meeting. I was like, okay, well, you know, whatever. It's hilarious because already I asked Miss Richter, I said, you know, I really want to send some information by email. Can I send it to you? And then, you know, the email combination you get is like a letter and a number combination. It's like, are you guys trying to be Stasi? You know, it's like, yeah, you talk to unit, you know, FLZ5. I mean, like, come on, you know, come on, what the fuck, you know, what is this? It's so freaking weird. Anyway, that was it. And then when I went for the third time to Bern and I couldn't speak to Miss Richter, I was so angry. I thought, right, that's it. You know, there's a decentralized weapon system being deployed. I already tried to get through to the military police, and they just, you know, sent me to the BARCOM, the Bundesagentur für Kommunikation. They refused to do any measurements and now refuse to reply. So I'm back at the military police, and I thought this time I'm going to go in person. I'm going to go to the military police. I had a folder this big which I essentially prepared for lawyers. I took the entire frickin' folder, showing everything, you know, about whistleblowers, about the sort of people I worked with, you know, about the history, my court cases, everything. Okay. And I took this, and I was like, right, I want to talk to somebody. So I just went into, it burned, they've got the military HQ. So I went straight to the military HQ. And I said to them, listen, there's some decentralizers at the porters. And, you know, the porters are manned by these military chaps. I mean, huge guys. They are big and bulky, like bigger and more muscular than, you know. None of them can actually put their arms down because their muscles are so big. And I was like, okay, I'm clearly here at the military, you know. And I go up to this guy from the military and I say, well, you know, I'm here because I would like to talk to somebody about, you know, a microwave weapon system that's being applied to the civilian population. And the look on his face was like, I mean, maybe that's just a standard expression on these military guys' face, but it was like, you know, out of service. And I was like, okay, you know, do you know microwave weapons? You know micro weapons, right? You know, like those things, like, do you know civilians, right? No, let's put the two together. It's like, do you know attacks? It's like, which bit of the sentence did you not understand? Anyway, and then he said, okay, I'm going to call somebody. So he called somebody in the main building, and it's all like, you know, when you go in, it's like airlocked, you know, you just go in on one side of the airlock, but the airlock is never open at the same time. It's like, ooh, you know, okay, so I'm clearly at some high security place here, okay. And then I wait for 5 minutes, and this guy comes down, and this guy had like a totally different build, right? Instead of like being like a built-in wardrobe in size, you know, he was like sleek, you know, older guy, very, very, yeah, fashionably dressed, you know. And the best thing was, I'm sitting in the porter's lodge, you know, in a chair, looking out, and I see this guy, and it's all reflective surfaces, right? So from the outside, it just looks like a mirror, and there's this guy, you know, essentially checking himself out in the mirror, and I'm like, come on, there were reflective surfaces already when you came. Like, do you have to check yourself out every reflective surface to make sure, do I still look amazing? You know, like, what? I haven't seen military guys do that. So I was like, that guy is not military. He looks, if you've ever been to London or New York, it's what, in London certainly, people call metrosexual. It's like everything goes sort of person. I was like, that guy is most certainly metrosexual, and therefore he's not military. I mean, no self-respecting guy in the military would be like sashaying along like that. So it's like, that guy's Intel, you know, from the age, older guy in Intel. I was like, super, on to a winner here. So anyway, so he comes out, and then he says, so, you know, what's the issue? And I said, well, you know, I've got a folder of documents, and I would like to talk to you about these documents in here. And then he literally takes me out of the airlock, you know, back out into the car park, and then he's like, right, so what do you want to tell me about? And it was priceless, because my gang stalkers who followed me everywhere, right, and they swarm, like a swarm of gang stalkers had already been there in the car park, so I knew that they'd caught up with me as I drove there. And essentially when I came out, one of the gang stalkers actually sat down on a stone. And imagine, this isn't like a touristy place, you know, this is like military HQ and the car park, you know. And then there's a lady checking out her iPhone in the car park, you know, like, yeah, not weird at all, you know. And I'm like, I stood with this guy and I said, do you really want to discuss this before them, you know? As in, like, there's someone sitting there behind you, clearly, you know, an intelligence agent, because they don't actually fit into the picture here. And he was like, yes, right, you know. He just couldn't say anything else because it was just so freaking weird. And I was like, thank God for the gang stalkers. If that gang stalker hadn't been there, I wouldn't have made it into the building. But he was like, yeah, okay, let's go inside. And I'm like, come on, a broom cupboard will do, you know. And then literally we go in, he finds a meeting room, and we sit down, and I say, well, you know, this is it, I've been attacked, you know, I'm trying to work with people of high integrity to have this shut down, it's a humanitarian crisis, blah blah blah. I give him the entire spiel, and I say, you know, I've been now attacked. This is a decentralized weapon system. I've been attacked in the UK, in Germany, but also here in Switzerland. In fact, in Switzerland, he started shooting me to bits, and it's all coming, you know, essentially from my surroundings. You know, could you please, you know, and I said, well, these are the documents, you know, give him stuff, you know, I can certify everything I say. And then literally I was like, amazing to talk to these guys, because he listened to everything, right? And then I finished and I was like, okay, now this is what I call the bullshit tango, you know, when they're like, duh, 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 you know, how about this direction? I'm like, and then it's like, okay, duh, 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 in that direction, you know, like, come on. And that's exactly what happened, because I even made a list of, you know, of all the things that he said in reply. And also, sorry about my looks, because, you know, my makeup has worn off. It's about, yeah, almost 3 a.m. here, and I've just been working really flat out. So, you know, this is what I look like because of the attacks. But let me just actually go through all the different things that he said, because people on my comment section said, oh yes, you go and, you know, go to the police and see how they will section you. Well, I've been already to the police. I put it up online, how the UK police reacted to me, and you can also see my case number up online, you know, it's read out. So I think it's 2107 or something, or 2109, something like that, you know, at Greater Manchester Police. But you can see it in the video. So I have already been to the police. I know what they do, but you have to just, you know, keep on going. So now I went to the military police, okay? So, and this is what happened. And let me actually show you all the different things, because it was just so funny. I'm so totally amused today. Okay, so here it is, and it's really, I think you should all have a look at this, because essentially the very first thing that he said, I realized that I sat down, and then as I sat down, he was going through an entire list of things, you know, in his mind. Like, okay, if it's this, then if you say this, then we do that. If you don't say this, we do that. And you know, and it was really priceless to actually see the choreography that played out. So hang on, I think I've got it here. Okay, no, okay, I have to do it from memory. But essentially, there were the very first thing was that he listened to the entire thing, and then he said, well, you know, actually that was the absolute best bit in the beginning, because he actually said, you know, I go to the military HQ, you know, and the entire thing is that so far the intelligence agencies have been washing their hands of all knowledge of this, you know. So, okay. So the first thing is, as soon as I saw this guy, I thought, that guy's intel. If I've ever seen an agent, right? I mean, the contrast to the military guys and the agents is like massive, you know. So I'm like, he's an agent, you know. And then we go in and he tells me all this, and then, you know, I said how there's also this deep capture in the intelligence agencies, and they're all really criminal and behaving criminally, and we need to stop this, and, you know, and so on and so on. And he thought, I didn't know that he was an intelligence agent. He thought that it's still just so secret to talk about deep capture, where it's like, it's up on freaking YouTube and has been, right? I mean, you know, I've been making these videos for like ages. So anyway, and then he said, and that was the best thing, because when a woman talks to them with these agents, I realized at some point their ego kicks in. Their ego always kicks in. And that's when you make them feel insecure, they have to like back up with ego, and especially in the intelligence community, where they are all just, as far as I can tell, just bashed over the head, you know, and turned into psychopaths. So when they feel insecure, they, you know, get out their egos and they come with threats and all this sort of stuff, and it's very predictable. And then I'm sitting there and I finished my introduction. I'm like, okay, here we are. And then his first thing was, well, I don't know, you know, who you were trying to get through to here. I mean, who did you call it, the porters? And I said, well, I didn't actually call anybody in particular. I just said I would like to get through to somebody here in person to discuss these matters. And, you know, and then he said, well, and then I actually twigged what it was about. And I said, you know, if if it's military police or intelligence, whichever, you know, both are fine. And he had this like chest out, and then as soon as I said, yeah, you know, or intelligence, whichever, he just like flopped back together, because that was his like, haha, I'm an agent, you know. And I'm like, piss off. I'm being harassed by agents like non-stop. You're not my first agent who I see. I don't see anybody but agents by now, you know. I mean, it's like, look at my email traffic, you know. And then he said, well, you know, and it's not just, how did he put it? He said, yes, I've been with the intelligence agency for a very long time, and I am, you know, very high up. You know, he said, I certainly don't have an insignificant role, and I do know intimately what they're doing. And, you know, he was saying that he's really got the big picture overview, and God, I was loving it, because his spiel and his direction of, you know, charge was to say, well, you know, I am so high up and I know it all, and we don't do stuff like that, you know. That was like the patronizing, oh, you know, take it from me, we don't do stuff like that. I was like, you don't get it, do you? And what was brilliant is that he said, well, you know, I am an intelligence agent, I'm working for the Nachrichtendienst, you know, for the NDB. And I was like, wicked. This is like freaking wicked. So I just went through the entire conversation, and he didn't twig it, because what he didn't understand is that so far the intelligence agencies publicly washed their hands of these things happening and them knowing about these things happening. And that's exactly what he did. He said, oh, well, I'm really high up in the intelligence agencies and I know everything that's going on, and we don't do stuff like that. Well, out of these two things, he revealed one truth and he gave me a lie. The lie was that they don't do stuff like that. And we've got evidence that they do stuff like that. I've got the evidence all around my home. I've got my measurements here. So I was stalked by the Swiss National Surveillance Network everywhere. Of course they do stuff like that, like Germany and the UK. So the falsehood, the lie was just shot out of the sky straight away. However, the truth that he gave me was worth gold, because now we can prove that these things are happening, because we do have the evidence, and because he confirmed to my face that he is in an actual real life flesh and blood and high up agent of the Nachrichtendienst. There's proof that they know, because I just told them today. I personally told them to their face today. That was the 15th of March. It's already 16th of March now. But there we have it. On the 15th of March 2017, the NDB was told by me personally to the face of not just any old intelligence agent, as he put it himself, but someone who is very high up and really takes very good care of their personal grooming. So, you know, that's it. That's all I needed today. That's all I needed. And he was kind enough and tickled into it by his ego to actually confirm to me that he, in fact, was a high-up agent of the NDB. Priceless. Now, this is a breakthrough. Had I actually gone to the NDB and rang the doorbell, I would have never gotten through. Ever. Had I sent them letters, these letters would not register. Ever. But because I went to the military, and they were like, ha, you can't talk to the military, we're going to interpose ourselves, you know, because we infiltrate and we impose. I'm like, okay, interpose yourself. He did, you know, and he had to get out the big one and say, yeah, haha, I'm actually an agent. And I was like, yes! In fact, you are. You are. And I just told you everything about my case. And what this has created today is public culpability and public liability. And you were kind enough to confirm to my face that you are a high up agent of the NDB. Thank you. Thank you, sir. I salute you for not really for understanding the strategy of your agency clearly, But I salute you for having actually advanced mankind in this entire system, because you yourself to my face confirmed that you are an agent of the NDB. I gave you my case details in greatest detail. I've given you a folder about my case. It's now with you. I even gave this agent, because I'm that kind, at the end I even gave him the option not to accept the folder. And I said, because I can tell you all the different details, you know, he wanted to fob me off, and I said, well, you know, I don't want to embarrass you. I don't want to force you to bullshit me, and I don't want to embarrass you. So if you want to claim that I'm mad, please do to your colleagues. I'm taking this folder with me, and you can deny any knowledge of what I have told you, any knowledge what the F so ever, and I will take this folder with me out. And then you say to your colleagues, she was just a mad woman, she had this thing about microwave weapons, forget it, she's just stressed. Or, you know, he actually wanted to say that, yeah, I'm something else, but and I'll tell you. But it's brilliant. It's freaking brilliant, because he accepted the folder. Because when an intelligence agent sees a bundle of documents and he doesn't know what's in there, he's like, his urge is like, data, 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 we need to know everything, we need to collect everything. And I was like, here you go. Please do collect everything about me. Woof. I was like, slam dunk. So now I can confirm, you know. Oh, actually, I should, you know, should have done this under oath. Actually, where's my, you know, where's this thing? You know, I'll do another one under oath. But you know, this is the truth. Basically, this is what happened to me today, and an agent of the NDB has accepted my folder. He knows about my case. He's a high up guy, which he kept, you know, he emphasized. So it's not just any old Tom, Dick or Harry I spoke to today. And they now know about the fact that civilians are being attacked here in Switzerland, and they cannot deny it. So the only missing puzzle piece is that civilians are being attacked, and that these sort of attacks exist. And we've got Vault 7, we've got the confession of Karl Clark, and for every single aspect of what I'm saying, there's already proof, and there will be more proof by the day. So thank you, NDB, thank you. I couldn't have arranged it any better than that to create direct culpability and direct liability for you, but you have just done it yourself. You know, had this guy just kept it in, and had he not gloated to me, had he just said, oh well, you know, I'm just some lowly guy here in the military, I don't really do very much, you know, I just don't really know what's going on, I wouldn't have any handle on you guys. But you were kind enough to send me the most boastful, self-loving, you know, possibly narcissist you have knocking around in the military HQ, and you literally sent him my way. It was fantastic. I thank you for that. Thank you, NDB. I salute you for that favor. So here we are. So that's the big breakthrough today, that I can confirm under oath that the NDB is aware. And what is really interesting is, because I did get through to the NDB, and as a result, on the car journey back, my head was cooked. So these attacks systems are in the cars. I also have, for the first time, actual direct experience that I might have been cooked from cell towers, because I only spotted mobile phone towers when I felt pain from that direction, and there were no cars around me at the time. So either something is hidden inside my car, or that was really a cell tower that I was attacked by. So the NDB didn't just accept my case, they also gave me proof for me personally today that yes, cell towers are being used for these attacks, because they felt the need to utterly shoot me to bits. So when I came home, they continued the attacks. Also, I discovered that my kidney, or my kidney area, is extremely sensitive and very painful when I'm in the car, and I suspect that there's a microwave emitter somewhere hidden inside the seat. So ripping the seat apart is not that easy, which is why I haven't done it yet. But I would urge people to watch out for this, because if somebody wanted to give you like pancreatic cancer, very bad, or kidney cancer, or cancer to your organs, the best place to put these microwave emitters are in the seats of cars, because you'll be close up, essentially sitting there, being irradiated perfectly in pretty much the same position in your seat in the car. And that's the best way how the intelligence agencies can give you cancer of a particular kind. So they did that with me today as well, so that I definitely, I'm not sore in that region anywhere else apart from when I drive my car. And they microwave me rarely, but today they had to hit me with whatever they got. So essentially, the NDB accepted my case. They microwaved my head through a decentralized weapon system that is connected with the cell towers here in Switzerland. They confirmed, yes, here in Switzerland, the weapon system is hooked up to the microwave cell towers, you know. And then they also showed me that most likely these microwave emitters are hidden in car seats. That's how they give people certain types of cancer of the inner organs, by just placing the emitter, you know, on your right or the left kidney, wherever they want to place it. And with me, they really microwaved my right-hand side extremely painfully today. When I came back, they just microwaved me to absolute bits so that I was crawling, and I've just recovered. So clearly the intelligence agencies didn't like it, but sorry, I didn't cock up. They did. They did. And now, here I stand, and everything that from now on happens to me, all the unusual cancers that I get, because I was microwaved solidly here in Switzerland for an entire year, all the cancers that I get, all the, you know, any death, any brain damage, me getting Alzheimer's, me getting a bit stupid, you know, all the weird pains I have in the forehead since I've been to this meeting in Brussels. You know, this seems to be set off here in Switzerland, so it seems to be an integrated weapon system. All of this can only be done with the knowledge of the intelligence agencies. And the only thing that I had to prove is that they know about my case. By this guy, through this guy gloating at me, that he was a high up senior intelligence agent of the NDB, and I giving him my case file. This is now the proof that they know about my case. So anything that happens to me, I said to him, you can claim it's another intelligence agency, but here, in this country, you have the means to stop it. This is your territory. So if I tell you, and this shit keeps continuing, you won't have an excuse. This will be your fault as well. Your fault as well. And he just managed to create direct culpability and direct liability for the BND today. Brilliant. So, henceforth, from today onwards, I can now publicly accuse the NDB as well. I didn't have this means before. He could have claimed it's the BND or MI6. But now I actually have it face to face, and that's wonderful. And should something happen to you, all the victims here in Switzerland or at the general Nuremberg 2.0 trials, you can also take it up for me, because the evidence I've placed, you know, on available publicly, can also be used in court cases. So, you know, there you have it. So that was the big breakthrough today, and I'm so incredibly happy. And oh yes, the way the entire conversation went is that I gave my spiel, and then he tried all the different things, and it was literally like a computer program running. So it's like, you know, statement number one, if not that, then else this, you know, if then else that, and this is how it went. So the first thing was that he said, oh, we are, you know, I'm really high up, and we don't do these sort of things, and you know, these things just don't happen. And I said, well, you know, Vault 7 has come out. We know that already 10 years ago, thousands of people were begging to have this these attacks shut down. And then you know, it just went on and on. I said, well, we've got these whistleblowers like Carl Clark and so on and so on. So we know that this stuff is going. It's not really a question if the intelligence agencies are attacking people. The only question is what sort of weapon system is this, you know. And it was like, oh, okay. And then I think, what was the second one? The first one was, we don't know anything about it. Oh yes, and then he said, oh, so now you come with conspiracies, like world conspiracies. And I was like, I don't talk about conspiracies. I talk about business plans. I just talk about business plans, how people can make money. And there are ways to make money with this. It's a highly profitable weapon system, very effective. And he's like, okay. So that doesn't work. And then he said, okay, so what do you want from us? You know, like, I have no idea, you tell me, was essentially the point. And I said, well, you know, I would like you to stop the attacks against me. If you don't want me to keep coming here, just stop the attacks against me. And he said, oh, you know, and it was like step number 4. He said, oh, okay, so you're coming here with a personal problem. So it's a personal problem and you think we're attacking just you, you know, like, oh, the conspiracy, we're all out to get you. And I was like, no. I'm telling you that, you know, if you stop attacking me, I will not be running around for these officers, but I tell you what I will do between now and my death, which is try to find a civilized solution for this, because there are many, many more people. And maybe you can support me in this because it is a humanitarian issue, you know. And it was like, okay, out of his depths, you know. It's like not just about me. There's an actual bigger problem here. They actually have to get on the case, and you know. And then what's his only solution? He was like, well, we Swiss, we don't have microwave weapons. And I just burst out laughing. I literally got the giggles, and I was just like there, you know, laughing. And that pissed him off so very much, you know. And I'm like, I literally said to him, that's bullshit. And he's like, no, it's true. And it's like when you're when it reminded me of these situations when you're in the school ground, and one of your mates comes up with a story he just thought of, you know, and then you just laugh and you say it's bullshit, and he's like, no, it's true. And it was exactly the sort of, exactly his pitch, how he kept repeating it. It was exactly the sort of playground, school ground. No, I swear, it's true. And it's like, I was laughing even harder. It was priceless. So then, what did he say? Oh yes, that really pissed him off that I laughed. I mean, you know, that's going to scratch at any man's bollocks, especially when he's trying to look big. And then he said, oh, you know, then he started threatening, and he said, well, you know, I have been, you know, very patient with you, and you know, and then he said, well, I do get lots of these requests. You know, you're not the first person to come here to tell me that you've got a chip in your head. And I was like, I didn't say I've got a chip in my head. You just did. And he's like, well, no, you don't have a chip in your head. Maybe some other people, some other women do. And I was like, funny. And so I have a chip in my head. According to some senior guy at the NDB, I do have a chip in my head. I mean, that doesn't surprise me, but now it's official. He actually said it to my face. Okay, so I do have a chip in my head. And then he said, oh God, how did it go? Because he said, oh yes, yeah, he said, oh, there are lots, and you know, I get lots and lots of requests like that. And I said, well, maybe that tells you something, you know, if people keep coming back telling you that they're being attacked by a big weapon system, maybe it's true, you know. He didn't like that at all. And he's like, well, I have to tell you, I get these sort of requests, especially this sort of time of the year, you know, and we've got spring. And he's like, am I like, huh? He's like, yes, when it gets very foggy. And today was a beautiful sunshine day, you know, in Bern. It was like sunshine, you know, spring. I'm like, foggy? He's like, yeah, like in autumn and winter. And I'm like, we've got spring. He's like, yes, it gets very foggy, especially here in the Mittelland. So the Mittelland is the flat area around Bern, relatively flat for Switzerland, you know. And apparently it gets very foggy, you know, I mean, not London style, but apparently it gets foggy. And he said, yes, and that's when, you know, when people get depressed. And I'm like, depressed. I've heard it all now. I'm like, you know, microwave weapons. If you're being shot into with microwave weapons and you complain about it, you're paranoid. I've heard that. And then if you're shot into with microwave weapons and you complain about it, you're schizophrenic. I've heard that, and that's already debunked. But I've never heard that if you're being shot into with microwave weapons, you skippity-doo-dah along to the military police to report it, that you're depressed. you're like, what? Where the fuck did that just come from, man? I mean, it was hilarious. Like, yeah, it gets very foggy. Beautiful sunshine, you know, blaring in through the window. It gets very foggy and people get very sad. And I'm like, you know, like, do I look sad? Is this a sad face? I mean, Jesus. It was so pathetic. I literally had the giggles, and he was getting more and more annoyed. And then eventually he said, well, stop that, you know. Oh yes, and that's what he said. He's like, oh yes, people approach me and they get very sad in the autumn months, you know, and start talking about microwave weapons. Apparently in Switzerland a lot of people start talking about microwave weapons in the autumn and the winter months. And I said, that's really interesting, because when I went along and complained to the High Court in London, that was in May, and then in June, and then in July. Literally, I was just, you know, laughing, and he was getting really angry, you know, that this wasn't flying. He literally said to me, stop that, you know. I mean, come on, I'm not his 5-year-old daughter, but apparently, you know, he was a bit older than me, so in an older guy, maybe I remind him of his daughter, and he's like, stop it, you know. I'm like, okay. And then he said, well, I've been very patient with you so far. And I'm like, yeah, you better be. And then he said, and I hope to continue being that. I'm like, okay. Okay. Granddad not understanding internet. Okay, anyway. And then he said, what was the other thing? He said, yes, and a lot of the people who approach me with this also start talking about UFOs. And I'm like, and I literally said, UFOs. Like, I'm talking about a weapon system, and you come with UFOs. He's like, yeah, sorry, that's my reality. It's literally like that. Like, yes, that's my reality. And I literally said to him, oh, that must be really frustrating for you. People talking about UFOs. Woo! It's like, what? So funny. So anyway, that was that. And then, oh God, I can't remember what he said, because there was something else. Yeah, I mean, it just went on like that, but it was literally like an if not, then this, then that, you know. And then he said at some point, well, okay, the only reason why we're talking in here and not out there. And I'm like, what, in the car park? Is that like your typical, like, you know, you've got this super security building, and when people say, hey, I want to talk to you about the national security situation here in Switzerland, you typically meet them in the car park. Is that what you're telling me? Like, that's your standard reception area, like next to the big bulky van. I mean, wow. So anyway, so that was that. And he said, well, the only reason why we're talking in here, as in like in a normal meeting room, as you would expect, as opposed to the car park, is because apparently I do not strike him as someone who talks about UFOs. I'm like, yeah, you bet. You know, I mean, I've got a freaking PhD in physics, right? I mean, what is he gonna say, right? And they didn't just suddenly turn stupid despite the microwaving, you know, and start believing in UFOs and, you know, I don't know what. I'm like, no, I'm talking about the weapon system here, you know, big business, like lots of money being made and, you know, people being attacked and stuff. No UFOs here. Oh God, but anyway, it was priceless. So we did this entire, like, you know, we did the entire shimmying, and that's why I call it the bullshit tango, because apparently, you know, it literally is like that. They just try things. They've got a list of things that they have to try. And then, you know, the very first thing is like, oh, we don't do anything. It's like, dum, da-dum, da-da-da-da, and then they hit a wall, and I'm like, and it's like, okay, then you're talking about conspiracy. Dum, da-dum, da-da-da-da. I'm like, no. It's like, okay, but then you're talking about only yourself. Da-da-da. I'm like, It's like went on and on and on. I'm like, gee, you didn't get it, mate. You didn't get it. And then he kept saying, okay, but what do you want from us? And I said, I was thinking to myself, What I wanted from you, you've given me in the first few sentences. You opened your mouth. You just didn't notice. I came to you to create culpability and liability for you, for my case. And I just did. Or you just did, rather, by coming up, playing the big boss and saying, yes, well, I'm a senior agent in the NDB, yeah, I know. That's what I was hoping when I saw you, shimmy along, looking very swoosh, but that's the point, you see. That's why I was there. Now you have liability. Now you have culpability, dear NDB. What you gonna do? Are you gonna help us shut this down now? Because from today onwards, whatever happens to me on your sovereign territory, and you are one of the few sovereign nations on this planet, is your problem. Because I just told you about essentially terrorist events happening here on your sovereign territory. You can't put your hand in your ears anymore and go la la la, you didn't hear it, because you took my case file from me. I gave you the option not to take the case file. You morons. I even, after an hour of talking to you, I even said, if you don't want this, I'll take it with me and walk out with it through the door. Do you see how I got you? It was through your ego, and it was through your obsessive need to collect information. Now you have all the information you need. Welcome to the world of full transparency. Maybe it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. So, thank you for listening. That's all I wanted to say. It's brilliant news. They have attacked me brutally. They are literally trying to kill me. But now I know that the NDB is guilty. They are culpable and they are liable for everything that happens to me. As of, the 15th of March 2017, they've got absolutely no excuse any longer to claim that they didn't know or that they couldn't do anything about it. And this is a big, big stepping stone, a huge milestone in this fight. And now when they at last understand what culpability and liability will mean to them, maybe they will begin to come to their senses and actually help us stop this. So thank you for listening, and we're going to continue to fight, and there will be many breakthroughs, I promise you, because we've just gotten started and there's lots of things happening around the world. Thank you for listening, and bye for now.